Hey friends, today I'm going to talk about the horror survival movie Azrael, which was just released this year. The story follows a woman named Azrael who's trying to survive a deadly epidemic spreading through the forest. This disease doesn't kill people directly, instead it changes them. Infected people turn into burnt, half-dead creatures who take on a horrifying appearance and start hunting the remaining humans. After this disaster, strange cults form in the forest. But here's the twist, everyone in these cults has removed their vocal cords. They can't talk or make any sounds because they believe speaking is evil, a sin that brought about the end of the world. They think human words were filled with so much wickedness that they caused the world's destruction. Now, this forest is home to these burnt, immortal monsters who wander around. If they find anyone alive, they immediately hunt them down. These creatures are brutal, they kill, cook and eat people, but the cultists don't kill others themselves. Instead, they capture and sacrifice outsiders, maybe hoping that by doing this, the monsters won't invade their area and harm them. And this is just the beginning of Azrael's terrifying journey. Next, we meet Azrael, the main character of this story. She and her boyfriend Canon have managed to escape from the cult. Now, they're stuck in this dangerous forest, just trying to survive and find a way out. At one point, Azrael is out gathering berries when she suddenly hears noises coming from deeper in the forest. She rushes back to find Canon, who has lit a fire. Worried they might be seen, she quickly puts out the fire and scolds him, reminding him how risky it is they could easily be discovered. One unique aspect of this movie is that no one speaks. All the characters are mute, including Azrael and Canon, who communicate without words. Understanding the danger, Canon silently apologizes to Azrael, giving her a hug and a kiss, and she hugs him back. She even hands him a small gift she'd made. But just as they're sharing this moment, the cultists find them. They chase Azrael and Canon down, eventually capturing them. The cultists lock them both in the trunk of a car and drive off. Azrael tries desperately to break free, but she can't manage it. The two vehicles start driving down the same road, but after a while they split up, heading in different directions. This means Azrael and Canon are now being taken to separate cults, leading them toward an uncertain and terrifying fate. Azrael is taken to a different location, where many other cult members are already gathered. In the center of the group is a chair, and the cultists tie Azrael to it. They're preparing for a ritual, planning to sacrifice someone, and they've chosen Azrael. The cult is led by a fanatical leader named Safin. Since Azrael can't speak, she tries to show her fear and desperation, silently pleading with them to let her go. But Safin is deeply devoted to the cult's beliefs and ignores her silent pleas. The cultists bind Azrael tightly to the chair, and then Safin injures her leg, letting her blood flow. This blood, in their twisted belief, will purify her before they perform the ritual. Azrael is trapped and injured, completely at their mercy, with no way to call for help. The cult members tie Azrael to the chair and turn their backs to her, which is part of their ritual. Suddenly, strong winds begin to blow, signaling that the devil is approaching. As the wind howls, Azrael takes advantage of the moment and struggles to free herself. She manages to get one of her hands loose just as a cult member notices her. Since the other cultists are facing away, he walks over to tie her up again. But Azrael fights back, injuring him in the process. At that moment, the zombie-like creatures, those half-dead beings, arrive. One of them attacks the cult member, biting and eating him. Seeing this chaos as her chance, Azrael seizes the opportunity to escape. She runs away as fast as she can, desperate to get out of the cult's grasp and the forest horrors. By the time the cultists realized Azrael had escaped, it was too late. She had already run far away. She reaches the river bank, where she takes a moment to tend to her wounds, cleaning and bandaging them. Azrael has a chance to escape and get out of the forest, but then she remembers Canon. Thoughts of him pull her back. As she's applying balm to her wounds, a burnt creature suddenly appears. Frightened, Azrael quickly hides in a nearby cave, hoping it won't find her. After some time, she finds a path and notices tire marks from a car. Determined to save Canon, she follows the tracks and makes her way to a village. Once she arrives, she gathers her courage and decides to enter. The village is surrounded by fences, and cult members are scattered throughout, so she has to be careful to stay hidden. As she looks around, her eyes land on the gift she had made for Canon, and dark thoughts start creeping in. She fears something terrible has happened to him. In the village, there's a small church where the leaders of all the cults gather. Other villagers are present too. The leader of this cult is named Miriam, and she's pregnant. Azrael knows she has to be brave and find a way to rescue Canon before it's too late. While Azrael is hiding under a house, she overhears a conversation between Josephina and Miriam. Josephina admits she failed to complete the ritual, which angers Miriam so much that she slaps her. For Miriam, the sacrifice is very important, and she feels the pressure of the cult's beliefs. While Azrael is still hiding, Josephina discovers her location and rushes to catch her. In the struggle, Azrael manages to escape, but she injures one of her hands in the process. After that, Safin tells the entire village about Azrael's presence, and soon everyone starts searching for her. As Azrael tries to flee, she injures her leg on a fence, but keeps pushing forward, running into the forest. The villagers shoot at her as she escapes, but their aim is off. Despite the pain from her injuries, she keeps running until evening. Eventually, the zombie-like creatures start chasing her, drawn by the scent of her blood. Just when things seem hopeless, Azrael reaches a road where she spots a driver in a car. Luckily, this man isn't part of any cult and can actually speak. Hope begins to rise in Azrael as she realizes help might be on the way. Azrael is surprised to see the driver, but she quickly realizes he's a good person. He helps her despite her inability to speak. She uses gestures to urgently tell him they need to get out of there quickly. Fortunately, he understands her and starts driving away. As they drive, Azrael shows him the mark on her neck and points out her injured hand. The driver gives her a cloth to tie around her wound and asks if she has eaten anything. For the first time in a while, Azrael feels a glimmer of hope. Maybe she can be saved and escape this terrible place. The driver even plays some music that Azrael really enjoys, lifting her spirits a little. But then disaster strikes. Suddenly, a bullet flies through the air and hits the driver. It's fired by a cult member who has tracked them down. The car goes out of control, swerving wildly. The cult member doesn't survive either, as the car crashes into him. In the chaos, Azrael is helpless. The impact of the crash leaves her dazed and unable to do anything as she struggles to comprehend the situation. The poor man who had helped Azrael is killed, leaving her injured and alone. As she gets out of the car, she finds that the cult member is still alive and tries to attack her again. In a desperate fight for her life, Azrael manages to grab the man's gun and kills him. Now she has a weapon, giving her a chance to fight back. Determined, Azrael moves deeper into the forest. Suddenly, she spots her boyfriend Canon, tied to a tree and injured. She rushes to help him, but as she gets closer, he breaks free and signals for her to stop. He warns her that there's danger ahead. Just then, Azrael falls into a trap set by the cult. She gets caught and hangs from the tree. In that moment of vulnerability, a cult member approaches her, intending to capture her. Azrael realizes she's in serious trouble and her fight for survival is far from over. The cult members arrive, drawn by Azrael's blood. They kill the cult member who was about to capture her, but in the process they also take Canon's life. Devastated, Azrael climbs the tree with great difficulty, only to find a half-burnt creature there. Thinking quickly, she ties a rope around the creature's neck and jumps down, using her weight to take it down with her. The creature is killed, but it comes at a terrible cost. Azrael has lost Canon. Overwhelmed with grief and anger at the loss of her boyfriend, Azrael's rage grows stronger. Fueled by her emotions, she grabs the weapon and heads back toward the village. It's nighttime, and with everyone unaware of her presence, she quietly sneaks into the church, ready to confront the cult and seek revenge for everything they've done. Miriam stands in front of Azrael, revealing her pregnant belly. When Azrael feels a moment of pity for her, Miriam suddenly attacks, knocking Azrael unconscious. As she loses consciousness, Azrael instinctively touches Miriam's stomach and accidentally leaves some blood on it from her own injuries. Afterward, cult members put Azrael in a coffin and bury her underground. When she finally regains consciousness, she discovers that the coffin is connected to a tunnel. This unexpected escape route gives her a glimmer of hope. With determination, Azrael begins to figure out how to use this tunnel to her advantage and find a way out of her terrifying situation. In the tunnel, Azrael finds a lamp which helps light her way. As she moves forward with the lamp, she hears a terrifying sound. The burned creatures are lurking in the cave, making it difficult for her to escape. So she stops and hides, hoping they won't notice her. One of the burnt creatures comes close to her, but it doesn't attack. Instead, it sniffs the blood on her hands and realizes it's not hers but Miriam's. Satisfied, the creature moves away, leaving Azrael unharmed. Meanwhile, the other cult members are celebrating, believing their ritual is complete. After some time, Azrael manages to find her way out of the tunnel. Fueled by anger and the desire for revenge, she sets fire to the entire village. As the flames spread and chaos ensues, the cult members scramble to put out the fire. Azrael takes advantage of the distraction, hunting them down one by one, determined to make them pay for everything they've done to her and Canon. Azrael manages to shoot Josephina in the stomach, watching as the life drains from her. After that, she heads to the church where Miriam tries to attack her again. This time, Azrael fights back fiercely and slits Miriam's throat. Miriam is strong, and the two women engage in a fierce battle. At one point, it seems like Miriam might kill Azrael, but then something unexpected happens. Miriam goes into labor. Azrael stands there, surprised as Miriam struggles with the birth. Suddenly, a gunshot rings out. Josephina, somehow still alive, has fired at Azrael. Azrael quickly ducks behind a bench for cover. Meanwhile, Miriam is in the middle of giving birth, and Azrael finds herself fighting Josephina, who is still determined to keep fighting despite her injury. A brutal hand-to-hand combat ensues between Azrael and Josephina. Finally, Azrael overpowers her and kills her. Just as that happens, Miriam gives birth, but when the child is revealed, Miriam is horrified. In a state of panic, she slits her own throat, unable to accept that she did not give birth to a human being. The atmosphere is filled with tension as Azrael stands, grappling with the chaos around her. Now, Azrael goes inside the church and picks up the child. As she holds the baby in her arms, the burnt creatures start gathering around her, not to attack but to worship the child. They believe this child is the Messiah, and they see themselves as his followers. As Azrael uncovers the child, she realizes that he is not human, he looks like a goat, which reveals that he is the Antichrist. The creatures begin to roar loudly, accepting the child as their new leader. Suddenly, Azrael gives a creepy smile, knowing that she can control these creatures by using this child to her advantage. With that, the film comes to an end. So friends, how did you like this video? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel for more great videos. See you in our next exciting video.